The biggest Dune Awakening patch yet is here. Well, almost here. It's dropping on the 12th of August, and it's packed with changes. If this patch comes out and you're not prepared for some of those changes, you will be caught off guard, and it might be painfully costly. There's no new content though, just tons of balance tweaks, quality of life improvements, bug fixes, and some weird changes too. Instead of reading through a mountain of patch notes, I'll break down for you the most important changes to see if they're good, bad, or just plain pointless. Let's dive in. Let's start with the quality of life changes because I think they're just universally good. First up, the Solido replicator can now capture placeables and decorations. This is a no-brainer quality of life improvement that everybody would welcome, so you can fully capture your base with its production facilities, decorations, and everything. If you often shift gallons of water from one base to another, or back and forth with your Deep Desert base, standing there mashing the deposit or extract button, chipping away at the life of your mouse and yours, it's finally over. You can now deposit all and extract all from any water container, which also applies to blood in the blood refineries. Instead of trying to figure out which category and tab an item should be under, then expand it and scroll to find the item, only to find no listing of it, the exchange will now give you a search bar where you can just search for the name of the item. Similarly, all fabricators and production devices in your base now have a search bar as well. So you don't need to figure out which tab the item you want to craft is under. If you know the name, you just type it in, easy peasy. You normally don't know the stats of an item when you get the schematic for it or when you see it at a vendor. You basically have to Google it. You would only know if you learn the schematic, then see the stats in the research menu, but now you can see those stats just by highlighting the schematic and hitting Alt like other stuff, so you know what you're getting before committing to buying or learning any schematic you come across. Next up is some changes or bug fixes, I guess they say. Many people love creating boxes like this, which can look cool, but to do that, they have to do a trick of registering a wall without actually constructing it, which felt like a quirky hack, but Funcom decided that this is too naughty, I guess. Not sure why, but that will not be possible with this patch. I'm also not sure who's being harmed by this, like what negative effect does it have on anything? Does anybody know if it's being exploited in some way? In fact, if you take anything from this video, it's this warning. If your base has any of those boxes, you will log in after this patch to find them gone. So if somehow those boxes are structurally integral to your base, you will log in to find part of your base completely collapsed. They've also made penta shields capable of taking damage now, which previously was not possible. Only the corner bits did, and I guess this used to be helpful in protecting tucked away bases in the Deep Desert PvP area, so players can basically make their base immune to raiding if all you can see of it is the pentashields, which again puts in question the previous point. The shields taking damage will fix the PvP area base immunity, so why make it impossible to have a pentashield box if I want to? It's now effectively just another transparent wall. This one does happen in my base often. It doesn't offend me, but sometimes resources spawn on top of pentashields. That's also not going to happen anymore with this patch. Spice fields that tend to look like they're there, but they're not, will not do that anymore. At least that's what I think this is about, which is a nice fix. There's nothing worse than a spice tease. The next part is balance and Deep Desert related changes. Colliding with sandworms during any of their animations will mean death or vehicle destruction. This hopefully should come along with a fix for the laggy animation of sandworms sometimes, where they often seem to come out of nowhere, because those two things compounded can mean much less forgiving escape windows. On the same topic of sandworms, Deep Desert sandworms are now 50% more likely to use short breach animations, so they'll basically come at you quicker more often. And then they increase the static compactor threat. Well, okay, that, along with faster worm attacks in the Deep Desert, I'm sure that was needed. If you have been farming flour from the few safe spots in the Vermilius Gap, you might want to stock up, because they're moving those safe patches deeper into worm territory. So this one, for example, seemingly will not be this close to safety anymore. They also removed Solari from being Deep Desert loot. I'm not sure how much Solari you got from those sources, so I'm not sure about the aim of this change. Is it to force Deep Desert junkies to go back to Haga Basin every now and then to make money? I think most serious money making is in the exchange anyway, so let me know in the comments if I'm missing something here. If you ever farm the Tal Cut Array, you know it was usually found in Imperial Testing Station 60, Stone Step Village, or Testing Station 71, or Rockwarren Village. There's also the weaker, crappier Sandflies Carver, which drops in the Wreck of the Delphis and Wreck of the Euporia. Those two are swapping locations basically. As you can see, the Tal Cut Array is extremely valuable, and it had 4 potential sources that aren't in radiation zones. After the patch, it will only have 2 sources, and one of them is in a radiation zone. It's nice that I have a Jasmium base here, which is super close to one of them. But this is a nerf to the amount of Tal Cut Arrays in the economy, so maybe rage farm it and stock up on some of those. You have 4 locations and you have about 10 days to do so. Its price has been stable for quite a while as far as I can tell, so I assume it will spike up even more on the exchange when the supply drops. Now for the endgame PvP related changes, the juicy ones, here's the important ones. They increased the weight of rockets from 0.05 to 0.2, which is a good step I would say, making players essentially carry less before needing to restock. I assume it will need further fine-tuning, but not a bad change. And then for a pointless change, they increased the crafting cost from 1 to 4 duraluminum, which if you've played a game like Hunt Showdown, this really reminds me of when Crytek had a gun that they always struggled to balance because it was a fan favorite, and they kept changing its price so many times, along with other changes, but the price change never makes a difference. My view here is that players who will be punished by that price increase are probably like poor solos, which are a minority, and they're not really a threat to balance or meta in PvP. How many times have you seen a solo lone wolf with rockets attached to their Orni, flying around attacking guilds or carriers or crawlers? I would think that sort of player isn't a big threat to anything. While big fat guilds who are filthy rich won't care about the price change at all, they can completely absorb it. So what's the real impact of that price change? I think it's minimal, if not pointless. To be fair, this might be an unpopular opinion. When it comes to PvP in this game, since it came out way different from what they envisioned, I think they should remove all rockets from all Ornis full stop. That will completely change the PvP dynamic, and then they can redesign it from scratch. This sort of crap is finally getting addressed. People did this with scouts, swarming assault Ornis or more importantly carriers, killing them even in the PvE area by just pushing them down to get eaten by worms. Colliding ornithopters now will get knocked back. They've also added a few more buffs and balance changes to flight in general. They increased the carrier dragonfly speed by 20% and half the generator heat build-up speed. Thrusters now boost maximum glide speed on both carrier and assault ornithopter. That makes assault Ornis a bit more threatening now, as they can boost and have rockets on. And finally, the carrier's thruster boosts now also will allow you to cut your losses by dropping the cargo when you go into vulture mode. So if you're desperately attempting to flee, you can at least save the carrier. Those are the points that I really think stand out in these notes. Obviously, I'll put a link in the description if you want to read them all, but please let me know if there are significant ones that you think I should have mentioned, and why. And if you found this video helpful, please remember to hit the like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Dune Awakening content. I'll see you in the next video.